Awesome. If everyone's ready and comfortable, I think we'll probably get started right now. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, awesome. I'm so glad so many people turned out tonight. Thanks for coming here. Welcome. My name is Cody. I'm a local attorney. I didn't know Tortuguita personally, but like a lot of people, learning about their murder and then learning about the person they were was a big part of what made me aware about the movement to defend the Atlantic forest and eventually bring me into it. So I do feel very grateful to be in community with you all tonight as we gather to grieve, celebrate, and to remember and honor Tortuguita. I want to start by acknowledging that we're on Lenape land that was stolen from the Lenape people, and affirm our solidarity with all land back movements and land defenders worldwide. Also, want to quickly thank Urban Church for hosting us with a beautiful space. Thanking Market Books for streaming this event live, and all the co-sponsoring organizations and individuals who helped put all this together. Tomorrow, 30 other cities will join us in marking the Day of the Forest Defender to remember our friend. Because a year ago tonight, Fort went to sleep peacefully in their tents, surrounded by stars and wild oaks, lovely pines in the belonging sacred forest and public park in East Atlanta. Fort and friends had spent the better part of a year occupying and protecting the line from clear cutting and bulldozing by the corporate funded Atlantic Police Foundation, which seeks to build a $90 million militarized police training facility known as Top City, where police and other armed forces like the IDF can practice putting down the next George Floyd rebellion. It was to achieve that goal that 1 year ago tomorrow at 9:01 a.m., a heavily armed interagency SWAT team woke Tortuguita up and executed them in their tent, shooting them as many as 58 times. In the year since Tortuguita was murdered, 61 other Stop Cop City activists, including Tort's partner at the time they were killed, have been indicted on felony RICO and domestic terrorism charges that are almost entirely based on the defendant's loose alleged association with the movement, not on any specific criminal acts. And since the fourth encampment effectively ended on the morning that Tort was murdered, Woolani itself has also been largely cleared and bulldozed over the last year as construction of Cop City begins. Of course, opposition to the project continues. We maintain that Cop City will never be built, as we'll get into later this evening. But I bring this up because when we remember Tort, we don't remember them alone. We remember them with the land they died fighting for, and with the people they died fighting beside. We celebrate them all together and vow to continue their struggle. Viva Tortuguita. In a moment, I'm going to turn things over to Tort's friends and family, and we'll make room for some open comments. There are testimonials from some of Tort's friends going around. Anyone would like to read one of those at that point or say something personal? Then we'll hear from civil rights attorneys, Devin Franklin and Steve Donziger, as well as a local organizer with some thoughts about how we can continue to honor Tort's legacy. But before I turn things over, I just want to say a bit more about why I'm here, why I think we're here. Because as much as I don't want to politicize a tragedy, this tragedy is political. And Tort would have been the first person to say that. The reason why Tort's not with us today, in my opinion, is because they were murdered by the state, and not just the troopers who pulled the trigger, but by Mayor Alfred Dickens, by Georgia Governor Ryan Kemp, by Attorney General Chris Carr, by the Atlanta Police Chief Darren Shirebaum, and by the Department of Homeland Security and every other local, state, and federal agency that helped brand this kind young social justice activist as a dangerous terrorist who could be killed with impunity. Tort's partner described the Bellotti encampment as, quote, a bunch of young punks partying in the woods and feeding their community. When Tort arrived in the forest, there was a week of action where hundreds of people participated in workshops, planted gardens, screened films, and protested. But as the week drew to a close, SWAT teams armed with suppressed pistols and rifles raided the forest, arresting 8 people and destroying 6 tree houses along with other protest infrastructure. With no evidence, the police claimed that a protester on that day had thrown a Molotov cocktail during the raid. Later that evening, a police officer was overheard on the police scanner telling other officers that they should have been authorized to kill these protesters. Deadly force encounter, he told them. As long as we're on the same page, Molotov cocktail is a deadly force encounter. The raids quickly escalated in frequency and intensity from there. In a raid on December 13th, 2022, police used, quote, less lethal weapons like rubber bullets and chemical weapons to subdue and arrest 6 forest defenders, including Tort's partner. All 6 were charged with domestic terror. Why did the Atlanta police consider these folks violent terrorists? One reason is because that's what the federal government was telling them. Through an investigation by The Guardian back in October, we now know that the U.S. Department of Homeland Security had been feeding intelligence to the Atlanta Police Department and Georgia Bureau of Investigations, describing terminology used within the movement as, quote, consistent with anarchist, violent extremist, and environmental violent extremist ideologies. The terms in question were direct action and security culture, which anyone familiar with organizing spaces know are pretty common and innocuous terms. In the weeks, days, and hours leading up to the raid that would leave Tortuguita dead, the FBI repeatedly used this federal intelligence, quote unquote, to stoke fear and hatred of the movement among rank and file police officers. Weeks before the raid, the GBI briefed SWAT team leaders that the protesters had attacked civilians and thrown Molotov cocktails. A few days before the raid, the GBI distributed a tactical operations plan that warned of, quote, approximately 30 domestic terrorists in the woods who were armed with guns, explosives, and booby traps. The SWAT lead concluded from the briefing that the protesters were, quote, not only extremely dangerous and violent in general, but unusually hostile towards government employees, especially law enforcement officers. The GBI provided a similar briefing in the morning of the raid, again telling officers that the forest defenders were armed domestic terrorists. They warned that protesters in trees might throw pre-staged feces and urine on officers below, noting that, quote, some trespassers carry STDs. One officer wrote that the GBI briefing made them think that this, quote, group was very organized and very dangerous. It was with this deadly mindset that this mixture of irrational fear and hatred that half a dozen heavily armed SWAT officers from the Georgia State Patrol approached Tortuguita's tent on the morning they were killed. It's a criminal mindset that continues unchecked to this day, with no lessons learned. Shortly after the police killed Tort, government commended the agencies for, quote, fighting back against dangerous extremists. Mayor Dickens has also continued to push this domestic terrorism rhetoric. But believing in and fighting for a better world is not terrorism, it's love, and that's what Tortuguita stood for. One last thing, we still don't know, exactly what happened during that confrontation a year ago, and the reason why is this. The GBI, the same agency that used this flimsy intelligence to paint Tort as a violent terrorist, same agency that participated in several militarized raids, including the one where Tort was murdered, that GBI appointed itself as the agency that would investigate the murder. This is a clear and disqualifying conflict of interest, since no agency is more culpable for Tortuguita's death. What's worse is, after stonewalling Tortuguita's family and the public for nearly an entire year, the GBI concluded its investigation and cleared the officers involved last October. Now, normally that's when the investigative file would be made public, but the GBI then made a very unusual and probably illegal decision not to release the file even at that point, supposedly because of Attorney General Chris Carr's ongoing prosecution of the 61 other Stop Cop City activists. So, in short, the GBI labeled Tortuguita as a terrorist, helped execute them in what was their home, and is now basically just telling us to trust them, that they were justified in this killing. This isn't just a huge injustice, it's a dangerous precedent for how the governments worldwide plan to handle dissent going forward. The state's inability to understand concepts like mutual aid, solidarity, direct action, and horizontal organizing is not a condemnation of us and our movement, is a condemnation of the state and of a system that mistakes love for violence and mistakes its own violence for justice. So I'll just say, our memories are weapon, and Tortuguita will never be forgotten. Thank you all. I'm going to pass it on to Olivia, who is a friend of sorts. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here tonight, and thinking that there is no better person to be a role model, a figure for the president of Tortuguita. It's cold and I've been traveling, and I think my thoughts that I'm going to share about my relationship with the Lord of Tortuguita are going to go like all over the place. There's just some thoughts, and just bear with me. But I choose to remember Tortuguita as a person that inspires so much and has so much energy, boundless energy. My memories of Tortuguita at the Bulani forest were always of a person in movement. Like, I picture Tortuguita like a cartoon that is going all like spinning around and moving everything around them. And that is a thing that really caught my attention the first time I met Tortuguita back in 2022, and how instantly we were drawn to each other. It was so easy to make contact with that person and to have right away like interesting conversations, this conversation sharing about each other right away. And that really blew my mind, because I have not had these kind of interactions for a long time organizing. People is more guarded and more careful, shy, nervous about security culture, etc. And Tortuguita was just right there speaking to me in Spanish. We got to right away the first time they arrived to sit in a hammock and starting to crack jokes and talking about, all the things that our thoughts and our thoughts about being there together. So since then, I was very drawn to Tortuguita, and I have choose to learn and keep learning and have this dialogue in my head with Tortuguita, because our relationship, our friendship was short, it was intense, but it was short. I think that, everybody that knew Tortuguita knows these things about them, that Tortuguita like to engage, like to, be with the community, helping all the time in any way they could, I was amazed with the energy and, with the good spirit, joy, the vibrant, that Tortuguita had all the time, even in like hard situations, like, learning from people and from Tortuguita themselves, that Tortuguita have done a lot of volunteer work, coming from Florida. And he was part of the IWW, had done work volunteering for homeless, had really kind heart to reach out to the most needed in the community. I've done a lot of volunteer work with environmentalism, ecology, education, that they were so passionate about those things and see them as very interconnected, So I was very impressed, and seeing them always in Wilani moving, being engaged with the people there, like, oh, is there something that the kitchen needs, we're gonna have to get water, or like security, go and check out there. There was always a Tortuguita movement, and all my memories have been like really happy of Tortuguita. So I choose to keep, letting Tortuguita's energy to influence me. And I think that Tortuguita, their energy are here right now with us, that are congregated. And I see that Tortuguita, lived in Millennium change deeply in those months that Tortuguita was there, Tortuguita took very seriously the relationship, the connection to Milani and to each other. Tortuguita was a person that not just talk about supporting, trans indigenous women like me, but also showing it, I was amazed with the Tortuguita. Many people that I thought that are part of our community, indigenous, Black, people of color, have said that Tortuguita always reach out to them without fail. That is also my experience. And I asked, what do you need? Are you here in town? Do you need like money for gas? Do you need food? Do you need a massage? So that moved me profoundly, that Tortuguita, even though it was learning so much, it was involved in so many things. It was a person that really wants to make a connection with the community around very strongly, And I credit Tortuguita for the participation of people of color increasing during, the time in Wulani. Tortuguita also doing so many things, was not afraid of conflict, but when you are involved in things, you're always gonna have conflict. And I don't know, like being in the United States, that I have the right ways to deal with conflict, There is a thing that we need to keep talking about and learn from Tortuguita in our groups, because it would be, really honorable to be defending a forest like Tortuguita didn't know these people, but then right there, people can create niches and can like avoid conflict too, And Tortuguita was not like that. Tortuguita wants to always to talk to people if they have a conflict, always, directly, honestly talk to people, was not afraid of that. And I, was also a person that had intense conversations with Tortuguita. They were very passionate, they were learning, they were evolving. And we could be, seen as having conflict, but it was so, I don't know, amazing to me, and really, really fulfilled my spirit to know that Tortuguita was very humble, that at the end of the a hard discussion, Tortuguita will come and reconsider and, apologize and change behaviors. I could see that. And that really, really, blew me away, because Tortuguita was so charismatic and so loved, And you could say that, oh, I don't want to talk to this person anymore, and let's just move on. And they have the support of the community, but yet they come back and keep revisiting things. And also, if they thought that they were wrong, they apologize, And so I remember Tortuguita, somebody that is guiding me in this fight and energizing me. And I think that we should all have this in mind. And I'll keep coming to this as something that we should take, in our mourning, in our remembering of Tortuguita, and in our reconnecting, that we take it seriously, reconnecting with each other and reconnecting to the land, Like I said, Tortuguita, I think it was like really evolving. It was like the Wilani Forest was a gift, but it was also a place of possibility as a queer person, to keep evolving. And I think that a beautiful image of Tortuguita in the forest walking with this beautiful dress, expressing themselves in a different way, gender, like exploring their gender. And Tortuguita, thinking about their heritage and how hard it has been, as many indigenous people we have experienced, to reconnect has been very hard, for many reasons without heritage. And I talked to Tortuguita about that, and that was so important for me, so they were trying to reconnect, they were doing all the work, and they say, yeah, it's hard, it's hard to really trying to even just like reconnect in a superficial way. They were indigenous person from Venezuela. And that was a very important thing for me, because Tortuguita was doing land back as an indigenous person. And I said that I had all these conversations that I do in my mind with Tortuguita about our role as an indigenous people being displaced, from the south of the Americas, coming here and keep being displaced. What is our stake at land back? What is our conversations look like with indigenous people, with the Muskogee people, and all the indigenous people in the United States, And how wonderful it would be that us indigenous people join them, that we are millions here, and also enact land back, So this is a conversation that I have in my head, and I could not have with Tortuguita, and we were starting this conversation as Tortuguita explored their identity as an indigenous person. And so I think that, like Cody said, we are here for two things. We are here to remember, honor Tortuguita, and keep learning. Today we designed this day as the day of the forest defender. And we think that it's perfect, because Tortuguita is our martyr. Tortuguita knew the risk that they were taking at Gulani. And I'm just blown away because since the first time we are talking and joking, they were so clear about that, and they really took seriously this reconnection. They were not just going there to protect. They were going there to learn and grow with Gulani and grow from all the violence that has been done to Gulani, and yet Gulani is resisting and is like always trying to regenerate and come back as a forest, and also to grow as a person and to, grow deeper as an indigenous person in the United States in this movement and have a voice and have a say, with indigenous people. So that's something that I think that indigenous people here, we should take up this conversation and expand it. And so I also want to say that one of the things that for me was very important is to share with people what we were talking about in Bulan, what kind of things we were always amazed about, all the things that they, more than me, were learning because they were there 24/7 in the forest, and they would say, I just learned about these little trees that are here, baby oaks, and let's go and check them out. And they were like growing attached to Ulani. And we were talking about how wonderful it would be to keep building in that and to put forward in our community a common language. And then we started talking about abundance and webs of abundance and how we reconnect wherever we are. We are part of this web, We're talking recognizing the indigenous participation in being part of this web that sustains abundance, and how to keep like deepening this conversation, having this language that everybody, especially people that were in that palette, young people, people that were able to take time off and going to physically to defend water, to defend land, should share a common language. It's not just at the time that we are there, which is a gift and a privilege for all, that we need to be thinking about it. It's now a time to keep expanding and thinking about this experience and expanding on these things that we share with you, And I think that Tortuguita, the community in Atlanta, understand that we need to be connected. We are part of these webs of abundance. And one of the things that we're doing is to focus on healing, to focus on mourning, because this is a way of keep this web of abundance, strong and to get connected. And so I think that, Tortuguita did a lot of healing, and Tortuguita was like opening spaces to do massage, and was part of the medics too, the medics team. So I think that Tortuguita thought that giving constant healing is important and is political, and that, so I think that we should take this inspiration today that we have the day of the forest defenders, and we are all forest defenders. Take this inspiration and think about what it means to really be open to have conflict and to solve conflict, not be scared about that, not create niche, not create pauses, because the urgency is now, the defense of ecosystems, the defense of abundance, the defense of our rights, the defense of our communities everywhere, the defense of the people that have less is very urgent now, and it's getting increased as we have more and more waves of people crossing the border, people being displaced. And so this is for us to take up now and not be afraid. Like, in what way my culture deals with conflict different that Tortuguita brought as a person of color and Latinx, this as something that it should be working every day. Every day we should like be solving that because sometimes conflict harms, if we choose, if we have the privilege not to like be in conflict and we are like, okay, we're going to just take a break. I wanted to talk, like turn off and turn off how this is affecting our infrastructure and how this is affecting what we are building together and how this is affecting the more vulnerable. I'm thinking about one thing that was going on and on and on. The Twitter was very afraid of bringing in and keep talking about is that, yeah, people of color wants to come here too. We need resources, we need like money for gas or food, why that cannot be part of this discussion. They bring it. And if we avoid that, we are harming people that want to come or is already there, that has all the right to claim land back with us. And so I think that I invite everybody to think about this, and this is where we get inspiration, from Tortuguita. And so I would like to keep having this conversation with Tortuguita in my head. And when I think when Tortuguita come to visit me in my dreams about, how indigenous people get more active in land back as we are not the original like stewards of land, but we are also indigenous and are displaced people. Isn't that something that we need to keep thinking about deeper and more critically? So thinking about that, I invite also all of you, but especially people of color, think about it. It's not that we're gonna have people of the land all the time being with us, because there is the reality that people that wanted to do land back in any way possible, we are very little. With the Native American people are like 2% in this country, but the indigenous people that are in this country displaced every day, and it's going to keep increasing. But coming from all over the Americas, we are many. And I asked the Muslim people in a public event about me as a trans indigenous woman being displaced, being just an ally on a complex of Muslim people, or do I have a say in this land back here in what we call now Atlanta, Georgia, these Muslim homes. And they will say you are. So this is another thing that I invite people to keep talking about and reach out and also support what Tortuguita was trying to create. These spaces where people of color talk about these important things, and also support these spaces here in the urban places and everywhere, So I think that it's a great inspiration. I think that Tortuguita is going to be with us always, and we're going to keep learning and also being amazed, by the legacy of Tortuguita. And so anyways, I am very, very happy to be here, and I hope that we will be, supporting people in Atlanta, supporting Tortuguita's beloved community, friends that are there right now and going through all these harassment from the state and going through all these like legal things. We're gonna keep an eye on that, but we're gonna keep like also here having these conversations and talking about these very basic things that Tortuguita also highlight, like how we deal with our resources, how we deal with conflict here in whatever we are now here in conflict in New York City, and how we deal with the challenges that we have here that really needs to be taught, like how we deal about, like I'm hearing a lot about homelessness being at risk here, and having a lot of people that is coming right now from waves of migrants that are like houseless, and so all these crises, how we do land back from incorporating and helping these people, and how we connect this to the fight in Atlanta and other fights everywhere, because this way of speaking about abundance, about the webs of abundance, about our call to reconnect is a permanent thing. It's not something that we do, when we have time or like in our free time. It's something that we do in our daily life. And I think that Tortuguita showed that, they were implicated in everything that they were doing at the larger level in the community, And so I'm just very happy that we are here remembering Tortuguita, and that we're going to continue to find that there is a community that also inspired Tortuguita out there in Atlanta. And that community is also here. Thank you.
I think we probably do without the mics. I'm told that they're hearing us on this screen. We're really lucky and honored to be joined by Terán tonight, Tortuguita's mother. Belkis, are you able to hear us okay?
Yes, can you hear me?
Great.
Yes. Yeah, well, I'm very honored to be here. For me, it's a very hard time. I once I want to honor Manuel's life, Tortuguita. This especially one of the things that is moving me is about the justice for not only in Manuel's case, but for other people. The system, the police system is really affecting terrible Atlanta and a lot of places in the United States. Police are becoming public enemies more than help. So I thinking that go against Cop City is a way to provide for the future people a little bit peace. I know that the communities have to work for those things, you know, and in a lot of communities, people is getting aware and they are awaking. People is awaking of because everybody's tired of repression and lack of real that the people the money of the people can be used in a good way, you know, like giving shelter to homeless, food to the people that is lack of food. And Manuel was busy on that. Manuel was very busy. Every day he was busy on helping people. So the community, the forest defender, it was the ideal life for them, where the community together can build up links to help each other. So listening Bundia, all the things that Manuel was busy and sharing with them in a base of respect and caring, you know, I like to continue to promoting those principles, not judging people. One of their friends that she's trans, she said, I met somebody that loved me as I am and now is gone. And she's suffering so much because to be accepted without judging is so important for human beings. To create a community like this where everybody can share and be as they are is so important. But okay, now the forest defender have to try to build new communities. I like to help in my way, thinking in the Tortuguita Healing Center, that I don't want, or I want a space in the Tortuguita Healing Center for people to create, to be in contact, kind of link that the people can express themselves and looking for help or healing, because in this society, for this new century, one of the worst illness is the emotional, because of the stress. So I think working on healing the society, healing first as a person, but then healing in the land, then healing as a society. We have to think a lot about that to give something for the future. And the other thing is the take care of the forest defender has to stand up, whatever they are, for the earth. And my message through the Tortuguita Healing Center is not only healing as a person, but healing the earth. So I like to use this opportunity to think about it, to think how we can continue Manuel's or Tortuguita legacy alive, and to have action to the society. Love, Manuel was very intense on loving people, on loving animals, on loving. I know Abundia agree with me. The way that they care, it was so intense and real, no? And all those people that met them have now the duty to share this to the world. I'm very grateful with the forest defender. They are giving me a lot of caring, companionship that even my family is not giving, because they don't understand what happened. They didn't understand why he was killed in this way, but the forest defender understand, and they were sheltering me, they were companioning me, and I feel very strong because a lot from the forest defender, how there's a community that Manuel really fall in love with, intense care and intense love and devotion. It was really devotion for the forest. So we have to have that to take care for the future. We need to build more forests. I really like to promote planting trees, taking care of the forest. Not only the Huilani, okay, Huilani now it has been destroyed, and we hope we can recover Huilani, but there is other forests that we have to take care. So my calling is don't stop in one point. Continue action, continue love, continue caring for people, continue giving food. I really love the food, the distro, and continue looking for shelter for people. Manuel was very busy doing that too, looking where people that didn't have a home find a place in the night. So we have to continue to do that. The society The governments are not doing their job. We have to do it. I like through the internet, through the page of Instagram, to be connected with people. My Instagram is Belkis Terán 27 for those who doesn't have it. And I like to keep contact, give me ideas, give me share your experiences, and I'm sharing mine too, for trying to build a better society. I am very ambitious with the Tortuguita Healing Center. I like to awake the whole world, because if everybody's doing one thing, in favor of the earth, planting one tree, and the other person cleaning the beach, the other person mobilizing people. Manuel was mobilizing people. Manuel was always having a crew of people doing things. So we need that. We need leaders and sensitive for maintain clean the nature, the beaches, the oceans. Now I'm very scared about ocean minery. So we really need help. And I hope many forest defenders listen my voice. I'm very grateful for the honor that I given to Manuel Tortuguita for the Day of Forest Defenders. I hope we can really make a lot of noise. We cannot sit and see the days passing. We have to really act. So in my way, as I say, I am pushing and encouraging people. I am a mother, and I will continue being a mom for everybody. Seeing my Tortuguita in you. I know that I can ask everybody to have the same feeling, but I'm open. I'm open to give my love, my caring, and my knowledge on this project. And I hope you are open to receive, because everything has to be the two ways. I give, and the other person have to be open to receive. So my way to honor Manuel is to continue his legacy, and that his candle never die. Continue on and on, trying to make a better society for the future, for the children's children. I love you very much, and thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
There. Keith, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining us. I think at this point, want to just open it up if anyone else has something they would like to share, say, if anyone wants to read one of the testimonials, please feel encouraged, but no pressure.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to read memory from the Jonah Valley. Manny was a close friend, comrade, and above all, passionate fighter for working people. I knew them in Tallahassee through the IWW, Food Not Bombs, and Live Oak Radical Ecology, and I will never cease to be amazed by their tireless activism, their extreme empathy, and their ability to make everyone feel welcome in radical spaces. They died as they lived, fighting for a better world and defending the forest from destruction in the name of a fascist, militarized police force. I hope their name will not be forgotten and that their killer is brought to justice. But more than anything, I hope the cause that they fought for is victorious. Now we mourn this great loss to the Tallahassee and Atlantic communities, but tomorrow we will fight back twice as hard against capitalism and the state. That Tortuguita did not die in vain. Sincerely, Jonah.
There will also be a moment to speak after the live stream is concluded, if that's more comfortable for someone. I should have mentioned that earlier. If no one else is stepping up this moment. Oh, sorry, please go ahead.
I didn't know Tort very long. I'm deeply saddened by that. They were a badass who made the woods a more inhabitable space for people of color, and a very kind person to me when I really needed it. I respected the hell out of them. They were one of the most passionate and driven people I've ever met. An incredibly inspiring human being whose loss both breaks my heart and fills me with rage. I will carry their memory in my heart forever. Unsigned. And I took one more and keep it clear.
Please.
Many hearts beating with yours out in the mountains. Love from Appalachia.
Please go ahead.
My name is Emma. I am pretty. My name is Emma, and I can say with full confidence, learning of Tortuguita and their story and their mothership and the long forest that really radicalized me. And I feel really thoroughly grateful to be here and hear everyone speak, and it kind of just brings to my heart the fact that shared spaces and spaces for the public and communities are so rapidly being stolen and then sold back to people, and just being here and sharing space with you feels like a very radical act in a way, when a lot of what society is built to do right now is to have us work and send us home. And I just want to say thank you, and it's really lovely to see everybody's faces.
That probably resonated with a lot of us. Thank you. Is there anyone else at this moment? Please feel free. Thank you.
I remember when I first arrived at WPP, I felt eager to help but inexperienced in land defense, and without close friends in the forest. Everyone was so friendly in the forest, but Tortuguita was especially kind to show me the ropes. We became especially close. One memory I will always cherish with Fort is the day we went on a safari, ammo, shoe glue, purple provisions, and had a little book club in one of the many nearby parking lots, reading in habits, of course. They had been harping on about the text all week, and when I read it, worked out, I understood why. They helped me to see a clearer path to a more utopian society through direct action by sharing their tattered, re-stitched together copy of that book and discussing it with me. I will always remember Tortuguita as a kind and fierce soul. They were a musician, a visual artist, a poet, a lover, a friend, a book club organizer, and a role model revolutionary. Their gender is a warm embrace offered to a scared child and a Molotov cocktail hurled at a coffin. That was a paraphrasing of one of their poems, but please send the original if you have it. I will never forget the kindness and relentlessness that Tortuguita embodied, and as we mourn them, I know we will be able to keep them alive by embodying their hard protective shell and their soft underbelly, their unrelenting kindness and their fierce defense of their communities, the warmth of their hugs and the scorching flame of their Molotov hearts. Rest in power.
I'm with the Land Secretary, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about Tortuguita Vive. Tortuguita Vive is a phrase that we say very often. It means Tortuguita is alive. And to me, Tortuguita Vive is in every action that we take care of each other, right? Tortuguita vive en las excepciones, en el cuidado que tenemos con uno al otro. Tortuguita vive en el cariño que tenemos como defensores de la tierra y del bosque entre uno y otro. Tortuguita vive en cada persona queer y trans. Tortuguita vive en todos los cariños que tienen nuestros camaradas. Tortuguita vive en nuestras acciones, en nuestro cariño. Tortuguita por siempre, por siempre, por siempre. Tortuguita vive.
Tortuguita vive.
Amazing. Thank you. We're also very lucky to be joined right now by Devin Franklin. Mr. Franklin is an attorney with the Southern Center for Human Rights, which has been really instrumental in helping to get legal defense for the 61 defendants in Atlanta right now. Mr. Franklin, thanks so much for joining us. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. Can you all hear me?
Great, we hear you great. Thank you.
Awesome. So I guess the first thing I'll say is that I am just extremely honored to be in this space with you all this evening. My heart goes out to all those of you all who fought alongside Tortuguita. My heart certainly goes out to Mama Belkis, his mother. Thank you so much for having brought such an awesome individual into this world. I'm saddened that we are here for the purpose that we are here for. But I am also encouraged that even in death, you have picked up the torch that your child carried on behalf of so many others. I don't think there is enough that can be said about those people who have filled the gap for those of us who don't have the capacity to fight in the way that this fight needs to be fought. The land on which Tortuguita died is indigenous land. It is land in a underserved Black community that the purpose that the state wants to go forward with its usage is something that potentially has the impact to bring further damage upon that particular community in Atlanta, but the city as a whole and the region as a whole for decades and probably hundreds of years to come to this point. The efforts to build cop cities all across this country, it's like a domino effect, but particularly here in Atlanta where it is alleged to be a bastion of progressive policy, so to speak. But we have seen that elected officials have betrayed the will of the people over and over again, even when confronted with mistruths regarding the funding of the facility. They continue to move the ball and play red herring with the purpose of the facility, and then try to play games as if the public is not aware of the actual plans. We see the impact that the type of policing, policing in general, but particularly the type of policing that they are looking to go forward with can have on communities of color. We know that the training program, the Gilly training program, the exchange program for Israeli police officers, We see the harms that is being brought upon the Palestinians overseas, and it's certainly not anything that we want to witness upon our comrades here. So for me, it is an honor to be a part of an organization that allows for me to use my expertise and my skill set and support of a community like this. There are many fronts where this battle needs to be fought. And I'm glad that I have a skill set that allows me to assist those who are now functionally political prisoners of the state, who have had their what is supposed to be a fairly unfettered right to First Amendment speech and protest interrupted by prosecution, the coordinated efforts of police and local officials and state officials and the governor to villainize those who only wanted to be heard, and those who had the wherewithal to pay attention to the things that particular elected officials tried to engage in behind closed doors. And so for some time, we had been aware that the state would use non-traditional tactics in attempting to paint movement in certain ways. I had the opportunity prior to Tortuguita's murder to visit with a bunch of folks out in the forest when the police first started their efforts to create this narrative of violence from those exercising their First Amendment rights. And I had the privilege to kind of speak up on behalf of them to some news outlets and paint the picture that the police were the ones who were, in fact, engaging in violent tactics to try and tease out responses from people who were simply at that point in time just occupying the grounds. And I had the unfortunate thought that, that you could see the setup coming, that they were beginning to put these narratives of alleged violence out against protesters because they knew that at some point in time they wanted to use force. Force they eventually did use. And not only the physical violence, but the political and legal violence that the 61 defendants are facing at this point in time. We can't do anything to take back certain things, but we can do a lot to assist those who are fighting for their freedom and our freedoms as well going forward. And so to the extent that myself, my organization, those who we are in community with and camaraderie with, I'm honored to be here and to share this space and time with you all.
Our next speaker unfortunately can't make it. Steve Donziger had something come up and was able to attend his long-term piece. At some point soon, we're going to end the live stream and talk a little bit about local organizing here in New York and next steps forward for the movement, some of the campaigns that are being worked on. Before we do that, is there anyone else who'd like to say anything at all? Please.
Well, I could read a few more.
Please.
So this is the first one. A couple months back, I left an abusive relationship and was couch surfing, so I was safe from my ex. One weekend, I went down to the Wilani Forest with a friend so that we could hide there. Court greeted us and made sure we were okay. They gave me a hug, found me a tent to sleep in, and made sure we had food. They offered to carry my things for me because we had to walk further than expected. I didn't expect them to remember me a month later when I next saw them, but they did, and immediately checked that I was okay. Every time I ever saw Tort, they showed me how kind and loving their soul was. I think that was unsigned. I remember Tortuguita as one of the softest and most generous people in the woods, a perpetually positive presence, ready with a smile and anything else they could offer to brighten your day. They were an optimist, assuming the best of people and demonstrating through their own actions just how good humans can be. I miss them already. Condolences and solidarity to all their family, friends, and comrades. We lost one of our best. Last one that I grabbed from the wonderful collection of memories. To my siblings of the forests, your sacrifice shall not be in vain. The wilds always take care of its own. May your spirit be a nightmare to our enemies. May your path be smooth and mighty. May your strength be our strength. May the arrow of Artemis guide you to your destination and pierce the heart of our fascist oppressors. Blessed be.
Hi everyone, my name is Manuel. I went to HBCU in Tallahassee, so I got the chance to meet Manny and organize with them a handful of times. I didn't become really close to them. I interacted with them maybe 4 times on occasion between events with Tallahassee Community Action Committee and the International Workers of the World. And similar to what someone said whenever they read a statement by Jonah Mundy, you could just tell by when interacting with Manny that they were very inspirational to everyone in Tallahassee, whether you were involved with the shelters in Tallahassee or whether you were involved with food distribution. As I came in 2019, just like a transfer student to Florida A&M University, I didn't really know where to get started with organizing. And eventually that path did lead me down to working with Food Not Bombs on the weekend mornings. And it was really nice to get to share space with Manny there and with some of the abortion rights and peer rights rallies that were occurring during DeSantis's just like a lot of the things that were happening in Florida in the last 2 years. And I'm just really happy to be here because it's really hard being away from a lot of the people that I organize in the same circles with them back in Tallahassee. And it's hard to be now like hundreds of miles away from the vigil with people that I knew were friends with them. And so I'm really glad to be in this space tonight. So thank you for holding that.
Okay. I think that's a great idea.
Let's pass out, let's pass through them. Sorry. I wanted to sing This Little Light of Mine, but I actually thought just now that it would be better to call it This Little Light of Thine, kind of referring to torch and that we're carrying on the light that they shared with us. And so there's some suggested lyrics for the next verses. So I'll just repeat them after me so that you know how to say them. Can you say, this little light of thine?
This little light of mine.
The next verse would be all around the world.
All around the world.
In Manhattan.
In Manhattan.
In Lenape-Hooking. Down to Weelaunee.
Down to Weelaunee.
Across Turtle Island.
Across Turtle Island.
All the way to Palestine.
All the way to Palestine.
Everywhere we go.
Everywhere we go.
So we'll sing together. Let's go. This little light of thine, we're going to let it shine. This
This
little light
little
of
light of
mine,
mine,
we're gonna let it.
let it shine.
This little light of mine, we're gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All around the world, all around the world, we're gonna let it shine. All around the world, we're gonna let it shine. All around the world, we're gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. In Manhattan, in Manhattan, we're gonna let it shine. In Manhattan, we're gonna let it shine. In Manhattan, we're gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. In Lenape-Hooken, in Lenape-Hooken, we're gonna let it shine. In Lenape-Hooken, we're gonna let it shine. In Lenape-Hooken, we're gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Down to Willani, down to Willani, we're gonna let it shine. Down to Willani, we're gonna let it shine. Down to Willani, we're gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Across Turtle Island, across Turtle Island, we're gonna let it shine. Across Turtle Island, we're gonna let it shine. Across Turtle Island, we're gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All the way to Palestine, all the way to Palestine. We're gonna let it shine. They gotta hear it. All the way to Palestine. We're gonna let it shine. All the way to Palestine. We're gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere we go, everywhere we go, we're gonna let it shine. Everywhere we go, we're gonna let it shine. Everywhere we go, we're gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
All right, anyone else before I kill the stream and we go into a short little local training? Please, go ahead. Yes.
When I first met Tort, they were helping with several local projects and they were so passionate about it. They inspired me in more ways than one. Their enthusiasm and positivity was highly contagious. They and others played a significant role in helping establish community gardens in Florida, more specifically my hometown. They played a role in helping make sure the city didn't force the local thrift store to shut down their business for housing homeless people. They were a great contributor in more ways than one. More importantly, they weren't just a volunteer, they were a dear friend. They were always more than willing to stand up for their pals and for the vulnerable. One of my favorite memories with them was when I needed an escape. It just so happened that they needed help with volunteer work. We were all shoveling dirt and they were listening to me vent. After that, we got food. They were very understanding and it made me feel heard. Also, the whole process of building Plantasia was a bonding experience I could never forget. I appreciate the quiet moments I've had with them as well, jamming out with them and our friends, and the occasional conversation in the middle. It was great. They were always willing to do anything to help anyone. Police brutality is always going to be traumatic and upsetting, but it lights a particular fire in the people who knew the victims the best. This is not over. Their death will not be in vain. Their death will never be forgotten by their community. Rest in power.
I just want to say that it's easy for me to know that Tortuguita would be chanting right now from the top of their lungs, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And they understand that it's always all about the land, and it always will be all about the land. From the land, we do abolition. From the land, we reconnect. From the land, we reimagine together, and from the land, we all create together something for us and for the world. So I am like so energized to be here with you, and I energized moving forward in this new calendar Western year to be learning from Tortuguita, to be carrying the torch, and to be like trying to understand this deep relationship with land, because we don't have it we have a superficial relationship with what it is for Palestinians to give their lives fighting for the land, for indigenous people all over the world longing to reconnect to the land, and that way really, really, really heal our land. So I thank everybody for tonight, and I bless all of us and bless the goddess and the spirits of these Lenape lands. Be very, very honored to be here tonight celebrating Tortuguita.
I'm glad that only I just got word that this event is being watched live by the Indigenous Land Defenders of British Columbia, who are blocking the pipeline up there. So all the movement all anybody else?
Can I just teach a really short song that it's like one line?
Please.
Okay, the words are, when the world is sick, can't no one be well, but I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. And because like people can maybe just join in.
Yeah.
When the world is sick, can't no one be well, but I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, can't no one be well, but I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, and no one be well, but I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong. When the world is sick, and no one be well, but I dreamt we were all beautiful and strong.
Awesome. I think we're gonna go offline now. Oh, please go ahead. Yeah.
Also wanted to share a quick call and response song that I learned the last time I was in Atlanta in June. So I'll just sing a line I don't know if you can. It goes. Not one more tree. Not one more tree, not one more beloved, not one more beloved. We're gonna stop Cap City. We're gonna stop Cap City. And build the world that we want to live in. And build the world that we want to live in. We love our trees, we love our trees, we love our people, we love our people, we gonna start Cup City. And build the world that we want to live in.
And build the world that we want to live in.
We're gonna start Cup City.
We're gonna start Cup City.
And build the world that we want to live in.
And build the world that we want to live in.
Viva, viva Tortuguita!
Viva, viva Tortuguita! Viva, viva Tortuguita! Viva, viva Tortuguita!
Viva, viva Palestina!
Viva, viva Palestina!
Viva, viva Palestina!
Viva, Palestina!
Love you so much. Mama, bye.
Like I kept being too eager to turn off the stream. I'm just gonna do it now. Thank you, everybody, for viewing over here. Thank you, Belkis. We love you. We love your child. Devin, thank you for joining.